In 1996, my favorite 3D platformer release, Crash Bandicoot for the PlayStation. Now, I've beaten and 100% this game well over 100 times, and it made me realize something. This game is hard. I mean hard. The tight platforming and sometimes loose controls are challenging enough, but there are so many secrets that the game doesn't tell you that it got me thinking, how was a kid expected to beat this game? I mean, it wasn't like times today when you could just search it up online. Then it clicked. Strategy guides. If you never use a strategy guide, then you're probably just too young and you just get all your guides off YouTube. But basically, these guides gave you step-by-step directions on every aspect in a game. I mostly prefer using guides for my Pokemon playthroughs and never thought about them for platformers. But after a deep dive on eBay, I was able to find the original Crash Bandicoot strategy guide, straight from the OG Naughty Dog team back in 1996, who look a lot like the cast of Friends, with step-by-step directions on each level. So I started up a new save file and began my playthrough of 100% in Crash Bandicoot the way Naughty Dog intended. After washing up on shore of Insanity Island, we are greeted by our first 3 boxes. The guide instructs us to always jump on these bouncy crates and spin the question mark box, giving us our first extra life. Moving down the trail, I make sure to grab this mask crate hidden to the left and receive our first mask. The guide informs me that the mask will allow me to take 1 hit of damage and will disappear if I ever get whacked. Before we go any further, I want to make it clear that even though I've beaten this game so many times, I'm pretending this is my first playthrough, and the Naughty Dog team is my coach. I'm not deviating away from what the guide tells me at all. Now, going further into the level, I'm instructed to jump between these boxes until the top one breaks. If you were anxious like me and broke the arrow crate early, the guide tells you to jump off the edge and grab the crate. Once we make it to the top of the hill, we receive our 3rd mask crate and invincibility. While invincible, I go down the path smashing all enemies in crates, laughing insanely like the guide tells me to. I take the left trail because that's the way I'm told to go, to get the 2 boxes and the turtle, then turn around and go down the right path. Oddly enough, the guide didn't have me go down the path on the right with the invincibility, which is the way I usually play. I guess Naughty Dog prefers we do this the hard way, but if we want that perfect rating and gem, and the guide reassures us that we do, we have to jump on each box and make it across. The guide recommends holding down the jump button for more height to make it easier, and I do just that. After ending the level, we receive our first gem. Before entering Jungle Rollers, the guide lets us know that this level can't be perfect without the green gem. The first thing we notice is the new TNT crate that will explode as soon as it's spun into. Since we are still holding on to our mask, we get invincibility and smash our way through. We receive our first Tana token and move forward until we find our first hidden platform. The gem disappears when we get close, and we are instructed to come back here once we have obtained the green gem. Further into the level, we find our 2nd and 3rd Tana tokens, and we are whisked away into the first bonus round. The guide makes sure to tell us that this bonus round is super de duper easy. Once we are at the end, we find the lovely Tana, and the guide confirms that this is not the real one, but merely a mirage. We finish up the level and miss the 3 boxes that are on the gem path. Once in the Great Gate, we climb our way up to the platforms. The guide reminds us to hold the X button for a larger jump. We get our first Tana token and jump through the obstacles since the guide says simply don't get smushed. We find a new enemy, the rolling monkey. I wait until he beats his chest like the guide tells me, and I nail him with the old spinner. Once we make it to these 2 boxes, the guide wants me to jump on both to get the extra life, but I actually mess up, so I have to leave the extra life behind. I keep moving until my 3rd Tana token is collected, and I go to the next bonus round. The guide explains at the end of this bonus, I will find 2 extra lives and the Babylicious Tana. Now I see why she had to be removed for future games. At this point, the guide reassures me my 7% is correct and lets me know I'm on the right path. I go on to finish the level knowing that I will be back later with a yellow gem. Next, we go into boulders, and this is the first time we walk into the screen. The guide explains that the fruit arrow is the indicator, so I follow it, and in true Indiana Jones fashion, we are chased by a boulder. Once, over the 2 pits, we make it to the first safe area. While the second boulder chases, I make sure to grab the crate after the fence, and then I grab this other crate that's off to the left of the Wampa Trail. I can imagine someone missing that crate the first time through, so I think the guide does a good job at preparing you. I pick up the last boxes and make the last jumps and receive my 2nd gem. We're on to Upstream, another level that we'll need to revisit for that perfect rating. There are not too many secrets on this level. The guide does inform me on the new platforms and enemy types, like how these lily pads will sink because we only sit on them for a short amount of time, and these plants will eat you if you're not fast enough. I jump on and off to avoid suffering the consequences, like how the guide puts it, until I find more gem platforms. The guide calls these the yellow gems, even though the gems on the Great Gate were also called the yellow gems, even though those are 2 different gem types. This seems to be the first mistake of the guide I've noticed. On my way to finishing the level, I get access to another bonus round and get to save with a massive 13%, like the guide tells me I should have. Soon after that, I reached the end of the level. This page also has my favorite artwork of Tana, and I just wanted to point that out. We head into our first boss fight, and the guide lets us know not to be intimidated by Papu's disturbingly large belly and his more disturbingly large butt crack. Funny enough, the guide tells you to sit in the chair to avoid his attacks. I'm informed that his weak spot is his head and that the battle should be very easy. After 3 hits, we take the victory, and I make sure to avoid when he falls over so I don't take damage. And now we can move on. In Rolling Stones, we're immediately greeted by a Tana token. The guide mentions that the jumps on this level are noticeably tougher than the previous ones. I jump on this arrow crate and find my first Brio token, and once making it to this stack of crates, I do as the guide tells me and breaks all the regular crates first and find my second Brio token. Forward along the path, the guide takes all the jumps in this level very seriously, calling this one of the hardest maneuvers yet. Past a few more jumps and we find a second and third Tana token and go into another bonus round. There are no extra lives here, but the guide does inform us that we should be 15% through the game at this point. Once back on the ground, I pass another gem path that can't be accessed yet and the last Brio token right before the end of the level. The guide lets me know that this bonus level is much harder than Tana's, and they're right because I die on this jump. Since there's no saves on Brio rounds, it's fine and we move on. According to the guide, Hog Wild is all about memorization, and they actually recommend dying over and over until you learn the pattern. Luckily for us, the guide does give you the steering pattern step by step, so after maneuvering through these obstacles and getting these difficult crates, we're rewarded with our third gem of the game, and like the guide says, we clock in at 17%. Native Fortress is very similar to the Great Gate according to the guide. I get over all the obstacles the way the guide told me to before. I use this turtle to reach the masked crate above, spin the vertical logs to make platforms again, and collect my Tana tokens. Once I get to this large stack of crates, I jump and spin the first crate and jump to the left like the guide tells me to receive the extra life. Then move forward to get the third Tana token. This bonus round is noticeably very easy, and after clearing it, we're at 21% and we're on track with the guide. I also want to take this time to know that these bonus rounds are the only time we can save the game other than gems, so it's really important that we use them to track our progress with the guide. After being back in the level, I worked my way up and used this turtle to bounce up and get behind this fence the way the guide wants me to. The guide lets me know that this helps me skip a brutal part of the level. Also, if I linger too close to a plant through the fence, I can still be killed, so I keep moving. This is something I never knew even after all my playthroughs of this game. I find a red gem path, so the guide reminds me that we will come back here later, and after working my way up to the highest point, we come to the end of the level, which the guide calls the whole enchilada, and we're moving on to Island 2. Before we reach Island 2, the guide has some words for us. The guide lets us know that Island 2 is home to 2 boss characters, Ripperoo and Koala Kong, and that the feel of the levels coming up are similar to Indiana Jones. We get a warning about 2 of the longest and what the guide claims the most difficult levels in the game, the Lost City and Sunset Vista, and we can look forward to our first colored gems and Cortex Key. At the beginning of Up the Creek, the guide tells us to walk a few millimeters forward, and then goes on to say that this is a metric reference for European readers. Glad they have inclusion. As I move forward through the similar hazards that were in Upstream, I hop past this blue flower and find a Tana token. The guide weirdly refers to her as pretty Tana and tells me I would be getting weird too if I were up at 3 AM writing. Funny enough, that's the same time I'm up now writing this script, so I'm glad me and Naughty Dog are on the same page. As I go further into the level, I find a metal exclamation crate and see the guide calls this the nastiest jump in the level. After my dangerous jump, I rush back over all the lily pads and find 2 boxes off to the left. I use the TNT and jump arrow the way the guide tells me to and skip the extra life underneath the log, since it's not a requirement. I work my way back to where I was and get access to another bonus. Completing the bonus gets me a 27% completion rate, and I go on to finish the level and collect another gem. On to our second boss, Ripperoo. The guy refers to him as a crazed marsupial in serious need of Prozac. The guy lets me know all 3 of his unique patterns for his phases and instructs me to time my TNT to explode when he is close. They try to coach me on when to jump on the first TNT crate, but the timing doesn't work for me, so I just blow him up whenever he happens to land close to my explosions. For the last phase of this fight, the guy tells me not to worry about Roo-man's shenanigans and to just stay on the lower levels, until I can use a TNT to watch him fry. Die RIP Peru. During this middle section, the guide has become very silly in a lot of parts. With Ripperoo gone, we move on to the Lost City. Like the guide said earlier, the Lost City is one of the longest levels in the game, and this is the first level where we can find a colored gem. We start off with a weird jump to the left that requires us to jump around these metal crates for a few boxes. We run into the tunnel to grab a mask, and the guide brags, "Aren't these 3D graphics the bomb?" We work our way past some wall pushers and a new lizard enemy that I've been instructed to jump on and never spin. We learn how to kill the bats and to keep them from spawning, and we pick up our first Tana token. The guy reminds us to run down this hallway and jump up to hit a hidden metal crate that unlocks boxes coming up. We use this box to grab the extra life and Brio token. On these moving platforms, the guide tells us to forget about the Wampa fruit in the middle, and surprisingly says nothing about the mask that's hidden off screen. I wonder why the guide skipped this little secret. Making my way further through the level, I find the second Tana token and use this jumping lizard to reach the second Brio token. After working my way up and getting the exclamation crate to the left, I reach the top and find the third Brio token. The guide lets me know that some well-timed TNT jumps and spin moves will get me through. And this time I do finish the bonus, and a few jumps later I find the third Tana token as well. The guide says really nothing about the bonus other than calling it a saving opportunity, so I just get past it any way I can and get a chance to save progress. At the end of the level, I jump on the last lizard to unlock the last 2 crates and receive the green gem. The guide confirms my 32% completion and lets me know that this is the last time they will keep up with the percentage, because now I can either go back to the previous level with the green gem or keep going forward. Since the secret pages are near the end of the guide, I just continue on the path to Temple Ruins. Temple Ruins starts off with some new spike hazards. I just wait for them like the guide tells me. I continue upward through the spike pillars until I come across a section with crates and a shadow of a spider. As the guide tells me, I wait for it to come down to spin it, then open up all the yummy crates. I then take the Walk of Faith, as the guide puts it, and after a few more challenging platforms, we finish the level and earn ourselves another clear gem. The first thing the guide tells us about Road to Nowhere is that I need to psych myself up for a major league test of my jumping abilities, because in this level I'm going to shed lives like Oprah sheds pounds. I know this guide was written in 1996, so I'm sure a lot of kids today will not get that joke. The guide goes on to explain the 2 types of bridge planks. The light wood planks are safe, while the dark planks aren't. And I work my way down the bridge path, doing as many jumps as necessary and collecting Tana tokens. The guide informs me not to attack but to avoid the warthog, so I wait for the ugly critter to run at me and jump over him. Funny enough, the guide actually says that they wish they could do more to help, but since the level is so jump intensive, all they can do is show me what they did. So I get my Tana tokens and earn another save, and I use the turtles on the stage to make it across with these large gaps. The guide never mentions the cheats of using the rope to skip most of the levels, so I'm guessing that was never intended or Naughty Dog just never knew about it. But I end the level knowing that I will be back with the red gem to get a perfect. Entering into the last chase level, Boulder Dash. This level is very similar to Boulders, and most of the guide's teachings tell me to do light jumps over each pit to keep momentum, and to follow any path of fruit that I can find. At the end of this level, I find a pink gem, meaning I will be back later, and we move on to Sunset Vista. The guide gives Sunset Vista the title of the longest and toughest level on Island 2. A lot of the hazards are very similar to the Lost City, with the return of the bats, lizards, and wall pushers. Making my way through the path, I pick up a Tana token, and while climbing I find my first ever Cortex token, after bouncing off the red lizard the way the guide told me to. I work my way through some more trickier jumps and find the remaining Cortex tokens, taking me to my first ever Cortex bonus round. The guide makes sure to tell me that this bonus round is short and evil, and if I die here, I'll have to start the entire level over to get back. So with some well-timed jumps off TNT, we make it to the end, and I gain our first key, and we get a chance to save. Not too long after, I find the third Tana token, and I get another chance to save. I finally reach the end of the level, and I receive a clear gem, and now I have a chance to go back to a secret level, but I'm saving that for when the guide tells me to. Koala Kong from the guide is known as one buff dude, and that all that working out has him looking like Arnold. I honestly don't get that joke, someone please explain. The strategy here is to jump over the coal that Kong throws at you, but as the guide puts it, if you have a cheating heart, it's possible to just break the coal with a well-timed spin. Since I do love a good cheat, I spin the majority of the coal thrown at me, and I time my shots back at him. I make sure on delivering my last shot of coal like Santa to a bad boy, and I give him the high, hard one right down the middle. Then I chuckle quietly to myself as Koala Khan drops to his knees and Cortex can hear me rapping on his door. I don't know what the guide is doing anymore. But we're on our way to Island 3. Before entering the last island of the game, the guide lets us know and on what to expect. This island features 3 boss characters, Pinstripe, Embryo, and Cortex. We're going to find another Cortex key and a secret level. The hardest levels on this island will be Slippery Climb and Jaws of Darkness, according to the guide. And they let us know that we're going to find the remaining colored gems so we can go back and receive perfect ratings on all the levels we've missed. Now we can move on to Heavy Machinery. As soon as Heavy Machinery starts, we are welcomed by 2 new enemy types. The guide makes sure that I only spin and never try to jump on the camera enemies, and also introduces me into these tiny robots. If I'm being honest, I never knew these were robots, so I'm glad I learned that. As I progress, I learn to only touch the blue pipes because the red ones will kill me if I even graze them. Once I reach these 2 spiky robots, I'm directed to jump between them and find a hidden area with more crates and a Brio token. I learn about these steam pipes and to make sure I'm not above them whenever they go off, and eventually get my third Tana token. I get to see that the guide does in fact have a 50% completion rate at this time, letting me know that I'm still on the right path. I get access to the Brio bonus shortly after and die yet again on it, and then I finish up the level with another gem. Cortex Power is an interesting level since there's so many branching paths. The guide instructs me to go right, then right again to this section with the gunman, beat him, and get the exclamation box. I don't understand why they want this since I don't have the blue gem and can't get a perfect on this level. So I advance through until I reach the bridge of boxes and finish the level, leaving knowing that I will soon return. Generator room is fairly straightforward. I make my way through the level and grab the exclamation crate to activate the boxes in the back. The guide reassures me that the ledge won't fall until the platform shakes, so I take my time. I make my way through the series of jumps and get access to the bonus round. At this point in the game, the guide isn't coaching me because it says, by now my jumping skills will make this the easiest bonus round. I complete it with 55% just like the guide, and I go on to finish the level and get the orange gem. Toxic Waste is as straightforward as you can get. The guide just has us move forward and time our jumps against a barrel rolling gangster. I continue to move forward until I grab all the Tana tokens and beat the bonus round easily. For the first half of this level, I time my placement for the jumping barrels and finish the Toxic Waste to receive the blue gem. Now we're on to the pinstripe battle, and the guide describes him as a crazed weasel with a big gun. During his shooting, I stay in the provided cover the way the guide tells me to, and I attack whenever he is on the move. This boss battle doesn't have many phases, and as long as I'm behind cover, I can avoid his attacks. Once his gun jams for the last time, I can spin him until he croaks like how the guide puts it, and he's taken care of. At the beginning of the high road, the guide immediately makes me come back to find these invisible platforms. I keep jumping until I find the hidden off-screen boxes and continue through the level. There aren't many new hints that the guide has for another bridge level, and it's still interesting that they do not recommend running on top of the ropes. I make sure to grab this box floating in the air. As the guide tells me, it's most likely the missed box in this level. I get a 67% completion rate from the bonus round, and I end the level earning one more gem. Slippery Climb, which the guide called earlier one of the hardest levels in this game, is probably the most descriptive level in this guide. Each picture frame has a large stanza explaining each section, which is a true testament to how hard this level really is. I make my way left against all the tricky time jumps this level has to offer. I use the birds as platforms the way the guide instructs me to, and I patiently wait for these new staircases to make my way up. I eventually find the first and only checkpoint of this level, and I continue to work my way up until I find the remaining Brio tokens. The guide calls this bonus round tough and a way to test and show off my abilities. That is, unless I die, and in that case I suck. Which unfortunately for me, I do die, so I guess I really do need this guide after all. After more challenging jumps, I come to an end and gather the red gem. Just a note, but I did beat this level in one try, well, other than dying on that bonus round, so pretty impressive. When entering Lights Out, the guide tells me that to beat this dark and spooky level that I need to get a grip and pop open the mask crate. The guide lets me know that I need to move quickly before my light runs out, and so I'm not fumbling in the dark, which is a nod to one of the secret levels in this game. The guide reminds me to move quickly. I make my way further through the level and realize that I will need another yellow gem, so I continue to the end. The guide lets me know that I might run out of light right before I finish the level. And to no surprise, I do, but I'm able to make the proper jumps anyway. On a different note, this section has a cool piece of art of Ghost Aku Aku that I've never seen before online, so I thought that was really cool. As we move into the other tough level of this island, according to the guide, Jaws of Darkness, we find similar hazards from Temples of Ruins. The guide even makes a note of this, saying that I've handled dozens of jumps like this before. I make my way until I find the blue gem platform, and I take it since the guide expects me to have earned the blue gem back on Toxic Waste. After getting all the boxes, I find the first Cortex token. When I reach this blue snake, the guide lets me know to pounce on the snake's head so I don't explode the Cortex token in the stack of crates. I make my way left to these invisible platforms and find the third Cortex token. The guide lets me know that this bonus is simple as long as I don't panic. I do as the guide says and start the TNT crates and use the floating boxes to avoid the explosions. Now I do it again and I earn the second key and access to fumbling in the dark. I finish the level having been to another Tana bonus round and earn myself one more clear gem. In Castle Machinery, the guide takes me through the same hazards as Heavy Machinery. The green gem is here, but it only leads to extra lives. I make my way through the level until I find these floating crates. The guide recommends starting on the higher boxes first to snag every crate here, and I continue on until the level is over. The guide for some reason shows a panel of 100%, which is impossible right now, but we do earn a gem. At the second to last boss fight, Nitrous Brio, the guide points out that he has 2 screws in his head, and that Mama always said it wasn't a good idea to mess with someone that has screws in their head. Once Brio throws out his slime minions, the guide lets me know that the slime will stop jumping at the 3 bounces. Once Brio throws a red beaker, I make sure to get out of the way since the guide tells me I will be hurt on contact. I repeat these steps until Brio drinks his potions and becomes what the guide calls a very large, very ugly, and very green monster. I wait for Bricks to come so I can pounce on his head 3 times and Mama said knock you out as Brio goes down. The guide has so many old references, it's funny at this point. After Brio is knocked out, we reach the last real level of the game, the lab. The guide calls this one a doozy. I use the exclamation crates to open up the doors and make my way past the electric fences, and I jump on this yellow blob. When I entered this room, the guide warns me about the TNT hidden in the stack of crates. I advance until I find all 3 Tana tokens and go to my last bonus round. The guide actually only says jump through it and save my game. I'm surprised there was no joke on how pretty Tana was, they must be getting tired by now. After some last tricky jumps, I finish the lab and earn the yellow gem. Here the guide recommends me going back to the Great Gate to use it or to go the lights out and earn the pink gem. But since the next page is the Great Hall and the Cortex fight, I just continue on. While in the Great Hall, I'm informed to come back here later once I have all 20 clear gems, so I push ahead to Cortex. Once the Cortex fight starts, the guide is sure to let me know that this is the final battle, the big showdown, Crash Bandicoot versus the Nutty Professor. They let me in on the order of blast Cortex will shoot in, and he starts with the pattern of 2 purples and 1 green blast. I spin the green bolts back to damage him and start the next phase. The guide warns me about his zigzagging blue blast coming, and I continue to hurl his green shots back at him. After his 4th, the guide lets me know that Cortex will foolishly decide to shoot 1 green blast, so I line up Crash for his last attack, and Cortex goes down. As the guide puts it, the reward is 1 big bear hug from Tana. The guide calls this cool but not super cool because they want me to push on and earn the special ending. The back of the guide holds all the secrets and tips on bonus rounds, gem paths, and extra levels. All I need now is to revisit the levels I could not perfect the first time through and do the same thing on the hidden levels. Back on Jungle Rollers, I use the green gem to find these extra 3 crates hidden away and collect a clear gem. On the Great Gate, the yellow gem makes a platform that helps me over the original ending to the level. I work my way up and break the hidden boxes behind the fence, earning another gem. On Upstream, I simply use the orange gem to break the crate hidden underneath the log, which is 1 more gem. Rolling Stones uses this blue gem to go down into the pits and find these hidden crates. And Native Fortress has the most interesting gem path because it takes me up to the clouds where dozens of crates are. I have difficulty getting down, but it works out and I earned the last gem of Island 1. I skip Boulder Dash because I haven't been back to Lights Out for the pink gem, and Road to Nowhere uses the red gem to find this whole hidden section away. The guide tells me to use the TNT to activate this chain of events and make more crates appear. You use the red gem at the end as well to find more crates hidden past the level's exit and earn this gem. Cortex Power has me go through these branching levels again and ride the blue gem to find the crates that were not accessible before, scoring us 1 more gem at 95%. I know, we're getting close. Lights Out is as straightforward as can be, and I play the level until the yellow gem appears, and I ride it up getting the last 3 boxes, earning us the pink gem, which means now I head back to Boulder Dash and play through the level and take the pink gem down to the secret area to earn that gem. And with that, the only things left to do are the secret levels, and scoring perfects on both of them. Whole Hog, just like Hog Wild, the guide recommends playing this level many times over to learn the path, but it does give us a step-by-step direction. After making over these tight jumps, I earned this gem and on to our last level, Fumbling in the Dark, which funny enough is the level I normally keep for the end of my regular playthroughs because it's the hardest level for me. Right at the beginning of the level, I'm instructed to run into the screen and make these challenging jumps to break the off-screen crate. The level is very similar to Lights Out, but the jumps are more challenging. I use these spiders to make it across until I reach the end of the level and I'm greeted to all 26 gems in the proper order. The only thing left to do is to go back to the Great Hall the way the guide wants me to and jump across all the gems I've earned until I come to the curtain door. Before we see what's behind, I want to say thank you to anybody that's still watching. This was so much fun to make, and please consider subscribing or to leave a like if you enjoyed this as well. It's pretty easy to notice, but my channel is very small and any support goes a long way. Now I opened up the curtain door, and as the guide puts it, I kick back and enjoy the fruits of my labor. Pun fully intended. And as Tana and Crash ride into the night, we know that we have completed Crash Bandicoot the way Naughty Dog intended. Thank you.